Right then, Vice City Vans. Try not to spend too much time on this one. Did a few updates yesterday, so I thought I'd just start off the day by covering those. First of all, I'll quickly boot up the hybrid on this version, and then on here, I'm just going to boot up the PS2 beta version. And just to save my voice, I think I'm going to possibly boost the microphone a little bit. And do that. Okay, so where was I? Vice City, DVDs, beta. Alright, start with this one. I'm not quite sure which versions it's true and when it's true and blah 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 what happens. However, you'll notice from the title that the helicopter missions, which is currently a typo, do not spawn the relevant vehicle, which is the SeaSparrow. So if you boot up the beta and use the available debug and cheat options to change a mission, after the mission rub out, it should be available. Well, in fact, I think 3 out of the 4 helicopter odd jobs should then be available once you've completed that mission. And this is where you take over the mansion. Now, for whatever reason, like months ago, I completed the game and didn't even notice the helicopter missions at all. So for whatever reason, that doesn't work. And if you check online, there's a little bit of information, like a random note by some random person that says that on the PS4 version it doesn't work. Not quite sure what the fuck a PS4 version is. I assume they mean the PlayStation Network. That would be the exact same one for the PlayStation 3 as well, but maybe it is different. I don't know. Anyway, obviously it's a bit of a nightmare to then have to go and get that SeaSparrow and fly back to do it. So the downtown chopper missions, helicopter odd jobs, will spawn 2 now using the mission select. Obviously this is the unmodified version, and as you can see there's no SeaSparrow there. So even if we set the game to 100% complete, and even if we do that rub out mission to skip to it and do it, the SeaSparrow still does not spawn, which means you're left with having to enable cheat mode and then spawn one in and start the mission that way. So that's just another fix that I did. It didn't take long, to be honest, as you can see, because I've been running 2 at the same time. On this version, I'm actually in a helicopter, and the mission has already started. So and that's just because the button input size is obviously exactly the same for both versions, so you run the 2 and there you go. So just to kind of show that again, if I now press R3 again and spawn the mission, we spawn back at this location, which is what you would expect. And we're on the mission, so that's good, we're already in the chopper. But if we get out, cancel the mission, spawn back, get back in our helicopter, boom. Okay, and there we go, and we can start the mission. So the radius is quite small, it's only set to 2 to trigger the missions, and obviously there's no marker, which is pretty crap. So I'll probably add that at some point. Still juggling for code space or whatever, so it's just deciding what I want to do. The biggest amount of code space saving that we can do at the moment will be the mission select thing itself. Now you'll also notice that these messages were previously showed up as cut or missing. Now for aesthetics, I could follow the same trend and duplicate the message for the title for that mission, show it up the top in big print in blue, but just to save file space, since previously all it did was said cut missing, I've just added those to it, so the cherry popper ice cream one will just take you there to purchase that. So that's another little fix that's just been added. Or like, I'd say the SeaSparrow thing, the Sparrow missions is a fix. and this is just for aesthetics. I don't think there's been a lot of updates since the last time that I did a video, or at least posted stuff on ModDB. So ModDB is the most up to date at the moment. Obviously, this is my version, if you want to call it their version in that respect. I've just noticed for some reason Max IDs change at the top. Anyway, weird stuff. I'll check into that in a bit. Yeah, nothing else new there. All good to go. I think, there might be a little bit of code space I saved. I had 1 or 2 cheats. Let's see. What usually happens is when I clean up stuff, I concatenated some of the code. In fact, the code to change these characters had like the same 4 lines of code on each one changing it. So I just put that in its own subscript and saved like 80 lines. So each time I'd save a little bit of space, I add a new character. I think this is the final one at the moment. Maybe this one. Maybe that one. This dude. And then, so anything after this that gets added in the future, you'll know there's an update. Because then we go back to Tommy's normal address. Cool. So there it is. Helicopter odd jobs. Updated text. Fix for the spawn in the Sparrow. Couple of new clothes items added. And everything else good to go. Because of the issues with the old, like 20-year-old codes that are kind of still the same that we're using for the Pinash, the ability to get tank properties is no good because there's no way to turn off the contact collision. So for this version, I'm basically spawning fire at the ground, as you can see. You can fly around and do that. And they've also added the grenade or the rocket from the tank. Now it's not actually firing a rocket because I got no idea how to do that. That would take some assembly, ASM stuff. It's just spawning it at a set location in front of you, which is not ideal, but you know, it could have been worse. It could have ended up just getting stuck on one axis or like real world coordinates or something like that. So at least it's relative to your position every time. Doesn't hit you. If anything is in front of you, it's, far away enough to not explode you. So if we try and find a car, that's perfect timing. Trying to judge the distance there. Just got him in the tail. And obviously you can do it in vehicles as well. So there's that little update. The settings seem to look a lot cleaner today for some reason, even though I haven't changed it, but whatever. There you go.